Hello. Sorry, is everyone? Well, hopefully, I can't. I'm saying is everyone as if people are on it. All right, so let's try this from scratch. Hi, Sue. Are you seeing me? Hey, Cheryl. Are you guys seeing me? Hey, Tony. Hi, Marcia. Are you guys seeing me? Just let me know. I just need someone to tell me if they're seeing me or not. Hey, Aaron. How are you? Okay, brilliant. All right, so let me. So I'm waiting for. Okay, brilliant. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Hey, Terrence. Awesome sauce. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Maud. All right. So I don't know what happened earlier. Jackie King. Jacinta. Oh, hey, Jacinta. How are you? I'm waiting for Dawn. So we're going to start over with Dawn. Hey, Norma. So, Norma, you're in. I'm going to take Dawn, and then I will get to Norma. Oh, yes. I love it when things work well. So we're waiting for Dawn. Let me find Dawn. Um, okay. Awesome sauce. Done. Okay. All right, cool. So let's see who's where. Writing Sundays. Okay. So, hair people. Take two. Live is a bitch, isn't it? Hey, okay. Starting over.
Right.
Hey!
Right.
Hey, Don, how are you?
Hi.
Tell, these, tell the people who you are.
Oh,
Starting
we started.
over.
When you said we're starting over, we really started all over. Okay. My
Yes,
name is
take two.
Dawn French. As you can see, the tag says Rising Sun. That's a play on my name, right? So what's the Rising Sun? It's Dawn. Did you get
Dawn.
that?
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Ooh. I
So
like
my
it. I
name is
like it.
Dawn
I like it.
French, and I'm a writer. I write both fiction and nonfiction. I'm presently in fiction mode, writing the Peanut Tales, which is about a little 8-year-old Caribbean girl and all the adventures she gets into, and the lessons out of those adventures that we can pass down to our kids. But that's not the day job.
I love it. So
Yeah.
what's the day job?
The day job,
What's
I'm
the
a
day job?
deputy permanent secretary in the Department for Local Government, Culture, and Creative Industries.
And what does that entail?
That entails working with the creatives, and creative industries is such a wide spectrum, not just the theater arts, but music, poetry, drama, dance, you name it. We try and get involved. My ambition really is that we could make a living out of the creative industries because so few of us pay the bills. We all have the day job, and then when we're not at work, we do what we love, which is the creative. So for me, I'm a civil servant. I would really like my writings to pay my bills, but presently that's not possible. And it's so much like that for so many of us who are in the creative industry.
Whereas here, it's very different. I mean, here it's very different. It's very different
Right.
because if you're a creative, if you're an author, if you are a dancer, there is a way to make money. You know what I mean? There's
Right.
Broadway, there's shows, there's
Yeah.
ballet, there's
Yeah.
opera,
Yes.
so there's a way to make and there's an industry for it. I find
Yes.
like in the Caribbean there isn't people just see it as a hobby, as
Yeah.
entertainment. Whereas
Yeah.
here internationally it's a business. And
It's a
so
business.
it is
Yes.
how do you turn something that is traditionally a hobby into a business?
Yes, indeed. And well, that's what the Ministry of Creative Industries is about, not only in St. Lucia, but in the other Caribbean islands as well, to try and turn that around. It's only recently that, that developing countries have begun to realize that we should really take creative industries as another economic pillar. We've always looked at manufacturing, agriculture, especially tourism, but we haven't really looked at creative industries because, as you say, we see it as a hobby. but it's something
I
that could be
think
another pillar for us in the Caribbean.
I think one of the places in the Caribbean who are very progressive where that is concerned is Trinidad and Tobago because a lot of people are dancers and they're dancers
Right.
professionally. And it pays the bills. Like models get paid to
Yeah.
pay the bills.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
in the rest
So
of the Caribbean, it's still a pastime, it's still entertainment. So with your writing, so you said that. So when did you know that you wanted to be a writer?
I started writing when I was about 6 years old, started putting poems together. And for someone who's in the creative industries, you don't really have a moment when you say, this is what I want to do. The talent manifests, whether you're a singer, dancer, or writer, and you just always know that this is what you have done. And for me, I've always done that writing. People say, well, I didn't know you were a writer because I'm now a deputy permanent secretary, but I'm really, really known in the society for the job I used to have, which was the director of the National Emergency Management Organization. I did that I was in the office for 20 years and I was director for 15. So most people know me as a
Wow.
director, Nemo. So when they say, but
Hmm.
I didn't know you used to write, and I say, well, I've always written. What the difference is now is that with the technology and the way you can self-publish, I'm now publishing my work. But I've always written. And you'll find a lot of people tell
Wow.
you that they've always done whatever it is they do. I've been saying recently,
Right.
I'd like Peanut to be to me what Harry Potter is to J.K. Rowling. That's
And
my
you know what?
ambition.
It is very possible. I mean, if that's what you want, then it'll be a
That's what I would like.
reality.
Not just to pay the bills, but to be mega rich like J.K. Rowling on Peanut.
And it will happen. It will happen. It will definitely.
You know, all my friends laugh at me when I say that.
You know what? Listen to me. They laugh at tons of people, and the people that they laugh at end up being
Look,
what
you
they
see,
set out to
someone
be.
just put
So,
the Iva Lisa just put the Nemo lady. Everybody on that list there, from Justin, Glenda, Shanti, Peter, Clement, Deborah, they all know me from being at Nemo.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So we talked. So tell our audience about Peanut and who she is and what she's about, and where Peanut's going.
Peanut is 8 years old. Peanut is her nickname because she's so tiny. She's 8 years old,
Uh-huh.
but regardless of the fact that she's tiny, she's got a big character. She's got strong leadership qualities, and she's a feisty little 8-year-old, mixed heritage like me because Peanut is kind of based on what some of the stuff I have gone through, some of the stuff my friends have gone through. I even get inspiration sometimes from the articles on BBC. I have a story called Peanut and the Kidnappers, and it's all based on an article I read on BBC where these two teenage girls kidnapped a 5-year-old from a store in London, and the whole process of how the
What?
police, yeah, yeah, and how the police found them. And I thought, I'm gonna put Peanut. So someone grabbed a child from Peanut's school, and Peanut was witness to it, and all what happened afterwards. If Peanut insisted, certain things needed to get done. So Peanut is a feisty little thing. And
I
it's
love
interesting
it. I
because
love it.
when it targets 8 to 12-year-olds, and when I write
Hmm.
them, depending upon the story, particularly in the beginning when I started doing it, I have that age group test. I test it on them. I give them the manuscript and I get the feedback from them to tighten it and make it better for them.
I love
So it's
it.
been vetted by the
So,
experts.
so I was telling you that my sister bought some peanut books last night for the
Right.
boys, and they were really excited about it. Like they really like this peanut girl, this peanut person they
You
really
know, when the
like.
boys said they
So,
like a peanut, like a girl in a story.
yep, because the little one is a little peanutty self, so he's a
So
disaster.
which ones did she get?
So last night she got Peanut and the Farm, and she got Peanut and the Governor General, and she got something else. I can't remember the other one, but I remember those two because I was standing next to her and I was like, "Get that one and that one." So then she got another one, but she said she's gonna buy like the entire series because
Wow,
she
thank her
wanted
for
she
me.
wanted to be able to have she wanted to be able to have something like a Caribbean story, like
Yeah,
stories that are based in Caribbean that the boys can have something to reference because we've been
yes.
looking for the Brea and Nancy stories and we can't really find them anywhere. So I
Yeah.
said, when I go home, when I'm in the Caribbean in December, January, I will go looking for them, like in different islands, like in Martinique and Antigua, in St. Lucia, at home in St. Vincent,
Right.
and in Trinidad, try to like find like, some kind of storybook about Brer Nancy. Because it's so
Yeah.
funny. I've always wanted to do a talk about, our story, the Caribbean story. And it's so
Hmm.
amazing that we were introduced to each other. And I've been coming to St. Lucia for so many years, and I've shopped in
Right.
the store, and never realized what a gem was sitting right there. But it's so interesting that our story, for you to tell our story, because you write other things besides children
Yes, I
books.
do. Yes, I do. I do.
So what, like what?
I I kind of binge write. So I had a phase recently before I moved into the peanut phase where I was doing a lot of profiles of St. Lucians. Because there's a heavy gap, well,
Mhm.
there was a wide gap in St. Lucia's history regarding our characters. So recently we had a gentleman die, well, not recently, a couple of years ago, Hunter J. Faswa. Now there's a library named after him at the South Louis Community College. And when he died, I had a librarian say to me that it's only as he died and his name was now back in the news that she realized he was a former minister of education. We
Wow.
had a gentleman called that same year Boswell Williams died, and everybody's going, who's Boswell Williams? Who's Boswell Williams? He's a former governor general. And these are people who are alive in the society with us. And I'm thinking to myself, if we have already lost the memory of people who are still alive with us, what is going to happen 20, 30 years from now when these people are no longer accessible to get the information? So I've been writing a lot of their profiles, quite a few of their profiles, and just depositing the copies at the National Archive. So when the next generation need to do their research, they have access to the material. And it's just
So Don, one
incredible.
second. Don, 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah.
I've lost you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna X you out, and then I'm gonna call you back in. Okay?
Okay.
Because
Cool.
you're not, nobody, yeah, because they're not seeing you. Okay, so let me do that. All right, so let me do Don again. Uh, oh, so she's gonna have to call. Um, so Don, could you call back in, please? Because I can't add you back in because of, you know, technical dramas. Hey guys, thank you all for watching. I'm trying to find, there she is. Okay. Got you, Don. All right. That's so cool, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. All right, there we go.
There we
Yay,
go.
you're moving
Take
again.
care.
So you were thinking about, you had recorded these people's lives and
Yes,
deposited into.
documented it in writing because I'm not a videographer. I'm a writer, so it's in writing. Again, it's all on Amazon for persons who are interested. And I just did a whole series of people. I did the governors general. I've done prime ministers, leaders of the opposition, principal. I've done principals of the comprehensive Cashier's Comprehensive School, and people may think why. It's because they had a lot of firsts. The first St. Lucian to be principal of the comprehensive school, and soon after him was the first woman to be the principal of the comprehensive school. So I tagged them. And I've just done so many. It just goes on and on and on. And so but it's difficult doing biographies. It is very difficult
Mhm.
because it's hard to get the material sometimes. But luckily, I'm very networked, either through myself or through my family. So I always know someone who knows someone, and I invariably get to do the interview. And I do the interview, and then I capture it on paper, and then put it up on Amazon and put a copy at the archives. And
I
very
love
often
it. I
I'm the
think that's
one
so
providing
great.
the information. Yeah.
I wish, because like in St. Vincent, there's so much, and I wish that there was like, there was a museum. I wish there was a museum in St. Vincent because there's so much in our history. Because St.
Yeah.
Vincent has the oldest botanical gardens in the Western
Yes.
Hemisphere.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
when I was telling someone at my job, and I was just like, oh, my country has the oldest botanical gardens in the
Yeah.
Western Hemisphere. And she's like, what? She's like, and you never told me this? I was like, but what I thought it was public knowledge. I was like, we would think that those things were like big deals. And like those are the things that for me that I tell people all about, and how it came about and who brought the first breadfruit tree. Like the first breadfruit tree in the Caribbean was planted in St. Vincent
In,
in the
which is
middle
where
of
the
this
botanical
botanical
garden
garden.
is, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we don't have
And
a
so
museum either. A couple of years ago, the government vested the old married officers' quarters to the National Trust with the aim
on
of turning
Pigeon
it into
Island.
a museum. No, that's at VG, past the
Okay.
airport, going up past the airport, past George Charles Airport.
Don't they
Um,
don't they have a isn't there some kind of museum over on
there's something at
Pigeon
Pigeon
Island?
Island, yes, but it's not a museum, it's an interpretation center. So it hasn't got artifacts
Oh.
on display. It's got posters and
Oh.
models and video and stuff, but the actual artifacts, they're not on display. So it's an interpretation center. Museum is where you actually
So
have the artifacts on display, and we
so the
don't have
museum
one.
so the museum's coming.
Hopefully, before I die. It's been so long in coming that some of us feel, maybe we'll be on our walking stick and wheelchairs when we actually cut the ribbon and have the opening ceremony. But they've been working on it. They've had various consultations and papers written on how to go forward. But you don't just open your doors and say, here's a museum. There are things you have to
Right, there's a
do,
whole process because you have to
exactly,
have
a whole
I mean,
process
I
involved.
work at the Brooklyn Museum, and so the Brooklyn Museum is one of the first museums I ever went to when I came to
Right.
America. And I was off while I wasn't working. I was my first week I wasn't working. I started working my second week. And I got off the train and I walked into the museum and it was a Wednesday, so it was free. And I was so enamored by everything. And I
Yeah.
got to the Egyptian exhibit and I was like, oh my God, because I love
Yeah.
Egypt history. And I was so enamored by it. So I kept going back over and over and over the years. And then eventually, 20 years later, I'm working there. And I have a
Wow. There you
great
go.
job. And
Yeah.
I love like I go sometimes the curators will pull me in when they're like curating stuff to see like new pieces and new things. And it's so amazing to be around this old stuff. And I've always been that person. I always liked being around old things because it makes me feel alive and it makes me feel, well, of course you're alive, but it makes me take stock of my own life and it gives me a feeling of completion almost that here I am and then these things happen before me
Yeah. And,
to
and,
get
and
me
there's
to
the
where I
evidence
am.
of it. Yeah. You can
Yes,
almost reach
there
out and
is
touch it. Yeah.
in in St. Vincent up on Fort Charlotte, they have like a little gallery of photos of paintings that were done by a Vincentian artist, and it depicts like the story of St. Vincent. And there's this
Wow.
young man there, and he tells the story. It is the most unbelievable thing. My sister, brother, and I went there last year, and I'd never really gone inside. I was like, oh, whatever. I and so my sister and I were just enamored by it. We were just like, oh my God, we didn't, he told this amazing, like he just had, it was like sitting in history's class and watching it happen in front of you. That's how good this it was absolutely
Well,
amazing.
we tend to view history as such a dry topic, but so if you get someone who can really present it properly to you, it's really is like an adventure story, some like Pirates of the
Yeah.
Caribbean kind of thing. If you get someone who can really impart the story properly to you, as opposed to being in school and high school and having just going on and on and on all the dates and dates and dates. But if you
Yeah.
get someone who can really present the story to you, history is exciting.
History is amazing. I mean, I used to score high marks in history, and everybody was surprised that I didn't move forward with history. And into my CXCs, I didn't take history. I left history behind and moved into business, to accounts and business. But in your life, in this writing process, in these things that you do, and you find inspiration everywhere and you clearly are a lover of your country because you are recording the history of your country, um, and interviewing these people to get their stories and putting pen to paper. What is the most important thing to you when it comes to telling telling not the Caribbean story, but the St. Lucian story?
I think it's important. We say here in St. Lucia that we don't like to read. And if we take that as a given, which I don't believe actually, I tell people that I think this generation may not pick up a paperback, but they'll pick up a Kindle to read the story. So I think that for me, it's really getting it down, capturing that information. Because as I said before, if we are perceiving a gap already, what is going to happen 50 years from now? If I don't capture Dame Paulette Louise's biography now, while I have her here and I can go up to Government House and make an appointment and go and interview her, which I have done, what's going to happen 25, 50 years from now? And, that it hasn't been captured. Now, it's not a biography, a 200-page biography. It's just, a biographical sketch of someone, maybe, 5-10 pages, but capturing the story as much as possible. And I as much as possible, I interview people and I assure them I'm not really interested in their skeletons in their closet and their scandal. And I'm not interested in their 15 minutes of fame. I'm not interested because in fact, I've done Vincent. Vincent will tell you that I've done his profile. And I'm not interested in Vincent because Vincent is a fashionista. I'm not interested in that 15 minutes of fame. I want the full story of, where his navel string was buried, who his parents are, grandparents are, the whole kit and caboodle. So it's not just that moment in time I'm trying to capture, but to give you as much as possible a rounded character to show you that there's more to this person than just being maybe the head of the UWI Open Campus. There's more to this person than that. And so that's what I've tried to do with these biographies. And some of them are entertainment, some of them are politicians. For example, I've done there have been 3 archbishops of Castries, and I've done their profile. So it's not just about them being about the bishop or the archbishop of Castries at this moment in time. They were little ones. What did they do when they were boys? How was it for them at seminary? So I do that, the profiles. I've done something, what I call the common sense collection. Again, things our grandparents told us, about managing money. That was the very first one I published. Because I talk to my friends constantly about managing money. And I thought to myself, I really need to stop repeating myself and just put it down on paper. And I did that one over Christmas, 2012. I did it over Christmas. And I gave it out to them. And so people say, oh, Dawn's going to tell you how to make money. I say, no, Dawn is not going to tell you how to make money. Dawn is going to tell you how to manage the 5 cents that you have. And I gave a couple of friends of mine to vet it for me and check and see if it was making sense. And one of them gave me the feedback and said, Dawn, when you said about going around the house and collecting all the coins and dropping them in a bottle, I stopped reading the book and I did exactly that. And I dropped all the coins in a bottle. Because you drop the coins all over the house.
Yep.
And so those are the kind of tips that I give.
It's funny that you said that because my 8-year-old nephew and I were walking on he's been with me every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So I'm off Monday, Tuesday, and then I took Wednesday off because tomorrow's Thanksgiving. And so we walk around the city on Monday, and he'd see a coin he'd see a quarter or a penny, and pick it up.
And you pick it up.
And he's like, well, Uncle Kirk, why am I picking it up? I said, because that's the first down payment to the millions that you want. And he picked that. Can I tell you, Don, everywhere we went, that little boy picked up coins. I was so done. I was like, what have I started? And every day he looks for them. And he picks them up. He's just he's like, when I get home, he's like, I'm gonna put it together, and then next week I'm gonna have mommy take me to the bank and put it in my account. I said,
and you'd be surprised how many dollars he'd end up with. Yeah. It's 100 cents to make $1. So you just drop it in the bottle, and I keep mine in a piggy bank, and so when I need to buy $2 bread, I go and empty the piggy bank, find $2, and go buy bread. So that's the kind of stuff about the nonfiction. But then the fiction has been more into the peanut mode. I had some where I did some about some Christmas stories. Where I had some elves, some Santa Claus elves who were from St. Lucia. And so, you use the Quapo Express to carry their luggage and rode around on the giant
Oh
African
my God,
sleigh.
I love it.
So yeah, and then I gave it to a couple of kids to check for me. And the mother comes back and says, Dawn, my daughter says, can she transfer school? She wants to go to the elf school instead. So when I had
Eva
pardon?
Lisa says you need to Eva Lisa says that you need to do on an etiquette.
I need to do one on etiquette.
Yeah.
Protocol and etiquette. Well, the Governor General
Oh my
here
God.
did one on protocol. She actually has a book on
Mhm.
protocol. You can go up to Government House.
Oh,
I
wow.
think it's $100 or 75, something like that, and you can get a copy from Government House here in St. Lucia. I don't know for the other islands, but our Governor General did one. I suppose she got tired of telling people what to do, so you can just get the book and find out for yourself. Seating arrangements, dress code, how to address people, the whole thing.
I think nowadays that someone needs to do a modernized etiquette book, because the old way of doing it is not the same and no one's going to do it. Very few people. And so etiquette has changed. There's certain, it's like being on the bus and people have their backpacks on, or on the train. And I was just like, you just don't. You take your backpack off. More room for people. Different things. I think if someone needs to do a comprehensive book on modern day etiquette, which is the fusion of now and the fusion of old, and making it realistic, because a lot of the books that are out on etiquette now, well, not now, but a lot of people still rely on, like in the South, they're all about the old etiquette books. And it's not practical in these times. Not with this lot.
But it's interesting. Whenever I start talking about my writing, people start saying, write one on this and write one on that. And the reason I have so many peanuts is because my friends start going, you have to write one on this and write one on that. And I had a friend of mine who kept going after me, do one about peanut and the footilance. Peanut and the footilance is a snake, it's a viper. And we have it in St. Lucia. And she kept going on and on and on. And eventually I did it and I gave it to her. Okay, here's peanut and the footilance. And it's all about, because the footilance is a protected species in St. Lucia, but it's a poisonous snake as well. So you have that dichotomy. So of what use is a footilance, So the whole thing about Peanut finding out about this footilance. So she was finally
So
happy.
do you have one on the whip tail lizard?
Interestingly, she came back at me and said, "Don't you need to do one about the lizards, because they found this massive iguana," and she sent me the photo and said, you need to do one about the lizards. So I did one about the lizards. Yeah, the lizards kidnapped Peanut because Peanut was going around just what a good lizard is a dead lizard as far as Peanut was concerned. And so the Homo reptilia kidnapped her and were about to do to her what she had been doing to them. So
what?
So when your sister buys Peanut and the lizard, you'll find out what happens to Peanut and the lizards.
This is so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So how long have you been writing? How long have you been writing?
The peanut tales?
No, in general.
I've been writing since I've been 6, but really got down seriously to it around 2012. I started publishing. But before that, I spent a lot of my time writing the National Emergency Management Plan for St. Lucia. Because I had a cousin, he's dead now. He was a playwright, Stanley French. He was a playwright, and he used to admonish me all the time. You're not writing. Why have you stopped writing? I said, but I'm writing, but I'm writing different things, because I was so busy writing the National Emergency Management Plan for St. Lucia, which is almost encyclopedic, because how you respond to a hurricane is not how you're going to respond to an oil spill. So each of the protocols had to be different. And then I ended up helping to work on the disaster plans for Haiti, Antigua, Barbados, and Dominica. Oh, wow. So yes, Sidima brought my skill sets to bear on that after we had done St. Lucia Zone. And so I spent a lot of time working on quote unquote nonfiction, in terms of the disaster management plans. And now that's all done, I have time to do other stuff. And so from around 2012, when I started with the common sense approach to managing money, it's kind of taken off from there. I've also done some career books, trying to show kids if you don't know what you want to do, you can look it up. But if you know, some kids know what they want to do, but they don't know how to go about it. And so I've written these career books where they can find out where to get grant funding, where scholarships are, what subjects they need to do if they are doing a particular, following a particular career. And having achieved that, what universities are available in the Caribbean that are giving those subjects so that you can get your career ambitions. And then where locally, regionally, internationally, you could work having achieved your career ambition. So there's a whole set
So
on that.
are these books carried in other islands as well, or just in, or just?
Well, they're all on Amazon.
Right.
That's another thing that my friends, as soon as my friends see one of these books, oh, they need to be in the school, they need to be in the hands of the kids, and that's another challenge, trying to get it into the hands of the kids and working with the Ministry of Education, who unfortunately is not always that cooperative for local material. So I just put it up on Amazon, and I inform people that it's around and that they can go and access it there. There are a few copies at the archives as well, but the bulk of it is on Amazon for anybody who wants it.
I love it. I think it's so amazing that a Caribbean author, because a few months ago, at the Brooklyn Museum, we had Caribbean Month. And so in that, we had a series of Caribbean authors who would come in. And so we had a lady who was from Jamaica, we had a lady who was Trinidadian, we had a Haitian, and they all wrote like great books. I mean, I have a couple of them. So there's this book called Even in Paradise by Elizabeth Nunez, and she's from I forgot where she's from, but she's from the Caribbean. And then there's this other one called Land of Love and Drowning, and that was really good too. And then I have another one, and I have another one by a Jamaican author, and she's been like featured on, since she did the Brooklyn Museum, she's been featured on The View and The Talk or whatever. But people have been really talking about her books. And it's so great. For me, I felt so proud that a West Indian had their books available. One of my favorite books growing up was Becca Lamb. And I still love that book today, so I just ordered a copy of it. Right? I forgot about it, and something made me remember it, and I ordered a copy. But I love the idea. I love having, it shows how diverse we are as a people. Like we have people like you who are writers and who are documenting our history and our stories. And I think it's so important. And I wish more young people would take that to heart and would emulate. You know what I mean? And so when Vince and I were talking, we talked about you, and then you and I started talking, and I was so pleased and I was so excited because you were documenting the story.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. And
people ask, why bother? People ask me why bother, but I'm thinking to myself, we had an Irish Catholic priest here back in the day called Father Jess. And Father Charles Jess. And if this man had not documented St. Lucia in the way that he did, he had about 10 or 12 books out on St. Lucia, the romance of its name, why certain places are called by certain things. He documented the presence of the Amerindians in St. Lucia, a whole plethora of books that he's written. If it wasn't for him, the gap in our history would be even worse than it is. Then you have people like Robert DeVoe who would have come around and done another set of books. If these people did not document St. Lucia, I'm not sure we would know as much as we know now. So for me, it's my humble way of just adding to that collection for the next generation. When somebody wants to do some detailed and more in-depth research, at least they have a foundation and something to start with. Because without that, I'm not sure what it is a researcher will do in the year 2525. So
Wow.
this is my
In,
little contribution to the cause.
in St. Vincent, we have Dr. Adrian Fraser. So I grew up, he had a program on television and he would talk about the history of St. Vincent. And I used to be like this in front of the screen, just like listening to him. And I haven't seen him in years, but I think when I go home in December, I'm definitely gonna try
Go
to.
look him
I've
up.
asked someone. I've been trying to find him on social media, but I haven't been successful. So I mean, if any of you Vincentians know where he is, please let me know and give me a number, and I will reach out to him. But when I go home, I definitely want to reach out to him and have a conversation. You know what I mean? Like when I'm going home in December for Christmas, and it'll be my first Christmas in St. Vincent in since I left, and that's 20 something years ago. And I'm really excited, but I'm really excited about being able to tell the Vincentian story, you know, from my perspective, because everyone
Right.
has a perspective and everyone
Yeah.
has, and I just want people to see the Caribbean the way I see it. And I love the Caribbean so much. I love it with my entire being. There are elements of it that are very annoying, but again, it would not be home if it wasn't. And I try to bring light to my Caribbean brothers and sisters who are doing amazing things that are not being recognized regionally and internationally. And I'm at a place in my life now where I can do my little bit to get you guys some recognition and also to connect the islands together. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that although we have bodies of water separating us, that's the only thing that makes us different is that separation by water. We're so similar and our stories are so similar and
Yeah.
they might be told differently, but they are very, very similar. And they're so your story may affect someone else in another
Yeah,
island who may be going
without
through the same
realizing
thing
it. Yeah, yeah.
without
I mean,
realizing it. So I
and geographically, I mean, you can be in the south and see St. Vincent. I mean, when the Soufriere volcano was erupting in St. Vincent, we got more ash in St. Lucia than you all got in St. Vincent because we're that close, you know. And there's so many St. Lucians in Martinique and so many Martinicans in St. Lucia, you know.
yeah.
When
And I
when
mean,
the Express Diesel comes in, Castries
I don't
turns
think you
French
realize,
and
but
Creole.
I don't know if you realize, but St. Lucia is my second Caribbean home. Like
Right.
I'm there all the time. Like my sister and her husband. My sister is Gwen Shoy Innocent. She's married to Sean Innocent, the lawyer. So I've been
Ah,
going to
okay, I
visit
know him.
them for
Now, here's a
eons.
small world. He was in law school with my sister.
Wow. I have to tell him. I have to tell him maybe he knows by now, but he knows everything. But you know. He's really funny, and I have the best time when I'm there because his mother makes me black cake even if it's out of season. I love it,
Even after season.
and she makes the best black cake, so I can't wait to go. And I get to St. Lucia in January, and I'll be there for like 5 days
Well,
because
you
I have
know
a
how
whole
to reach
Caribbean.
me. Well, you know how to reach me
Huh?
now. You know how to
Of
hail me when
course.
you reach.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But I have to go see some people too. There's a guy who does soap and you know, I want to do like little videos, like little 10-minute
Right.
videos of each person I meet. And then I'm gonna compile it together and create something because I think it's so important that I show the world what my Caribbean looks like and what my Caribbean people look like. Because sometimes we have these misconceptions of what the Caribbean is, and we see the bad things. We don't see
Yeah.
the great things. And there's such great people in the Caribbean, like yourself and many others. And their story and their recognition, it goes even locally. Sometimes you don't get recognized for what you do, but you have to step outside to get the recognition. And
Yeah.
there are
A
the
lot of
few who
people
do
have
get the
to.
recognition there.
A lot of people
Yeah.
have to step out to get the recognition and then come back home. Yeah.
Don, it was really great having you. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to tell people where to get your book and to inspire a young kid out there who wants to be a writer and feels like they don't have a place in the world.
Okay, well, two things. One, the Peanut Tales, about the adventures of the little 8-year-old Peanut, and there's always a lesson, be it health, disaster management. There's always a lesson there for Peanut and her friends and their adventures. For someone who wants to write, whether young, old, and in between, just do it. I tell people you'll think about the spelling and the grammar afterwards. Just get it down on your computer, on your tablet, old school pen and paper. I had to go into a school last week and talk to them about it, and I came with all the drafts. I had 10 drafts of Peanut and the Storm, and the kids' eyes got wider and wider as I showed them all the different versions I had to write before I came up with the final one, which they actually checked for me when I thought it was done. So, there's always going to be the next version to write, the next draft. Just get it down on paper. Just get the story down on paper. And it's 2017, 2018, the 21st century. You can get it published upon Amazon too. So check out Peanut and the Peanut Tales. And remember to leave a comment if you buy it. Tell your sister when she's done, she needs to leave a comment underneath the books, what the kids think about it.
Oh yes, I will. I may be the one writing it actually, because she'll probably
You'll be the
tell
one
me,
writing it.
like, yeah, because I'm eventually going to be the one reading it. You understand?
Okay. Well, then remember to leave the comment. Remember to leave the comment when you're done with the kids.
Yeah, I did today. I was looking through my Amazon, and I had like 50 things I needed to respond to. I was so mad. So I just took the time because the boys were sleeping. So I took
Right.
that time and I just was like responding to stuff and saying, "Oh, it was great. It was sucky. It was whatever." But
Okay.
I look forward to it, and I really do look forward to meeting you. I'm really excited about meeting you. You
Indeed,
have no
indeed.
idea how excited I am.
And we got to thank
I'm
Vincent, right?
super. Yes.
Vincent
Well,
and thank
hopefully
Vincent.
hopefully he comes down to the Caribbean too. So we'll see what he's doing in January.
Oh Lord, the two of you all at the same time.
I know, Lord. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm terrified. I can't wait. It's so exciting.
Okay.
Don, thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
for having me. To say, all I said was hi and great show, and now I'm on the show.
You know what
This
it
is what
is
it
for me?
was.
It's all about like, you know,
All I did was say hi,
to
great show, and next thing I'm on the show.
well, we started talking, and then we were talking by text, and then we got on the phone and we started talking, and it was just
Yeah.
really great energy. And for me, it's like I'm not gonna have anyone on my show that I don't have good energy with. So people are trying to push people down my throat, and I'm like,
Right.
this at the end of the day, this is my show, and I'm gonna have who I
Mhm.
want. And when
Right.
I bond with someone, I find a commonality, and then it becomes a great dynamic. Have a wonderful dynamic on camera. Whereas some people I've been interviewed on shows, and the person was so boring that I just was bored the whole time they were
Oh,
interviewing. So I
oh,
just answered one word answers. And so over the years I've learned to just like take the lead. So
right.
whenever I just
Okay.
take over. So I feel because then it works best.
Okay.
You know. So
Right.
that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Don.
Thanks, Kirk. And to
Have
all
a
your
great night.
viewers, you
Thank
too.
you.
Right. Take care.
Bye, hun. All right, I love that. Don is amazing. Okay, so let's take a couple of comments. Ah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, thanks, Stace. Someone says he's still right. Okay, so I guess she's okay. Amy says, if you don't know, your story is going to be hard to understand where you come from and where you're going. I totally agree with that 100%. Kingsley says, I'm here. Better late than never. Hey, Kingsley. This is an exciting show. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's get Norma here, and let's get this cracking. So Norma, I met because one of my friends in Miami said that I needed to meet her. And she reshuffled her trip and flew into New York just to meet me. And I fell in love with her immediately. And we stood there talking, and it became a 2-hour conversation. And she has an amazing story that I will not share, and I'll let her do so with you. Hey, Norma, are you here? Okay, so I'm waiting for Norma. So I'm waiting for Norma to respond. My sister just logged in. I was telling them that I was telling Don that you bought the peanut book last night. Okay, so Norma's here. So let's add Norma. Yay! Kirk, you're a born leader. So no one can put you out. That made my day. That made my day, Amy. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So I will message him in the morning. So it'll be really great because he is so cool. Yes, so we found Dr. Adrian Fraser. So I'm waiting for Norma to accept the conversation and then we will go from there. I love it. Hey, Brian. So your guest declined. So Norma, it's saying that you declined the video. So you send me a request and I'll just answer it. That'll probably be best. You just like to talk to us. You know what, Sky? Leave me alone. Leave me alone, Sky. Just informed him you're interested. Oh my God, you guys are so cool. I love it. I think the man is so brilliant. The man is so brilliant. Really, really brilliant. And he knows St. Vincent like the back of his hand. It's so awesome. And so having him on will be really cool. I'm super excited about that. Like I love like the mature people because they have so much information and so much you can learn so much from them. You know what I mean? You can learn like where and when and why. And I remember one of Dr. Adrian Fraser's conversation. Oh, he's your uncle. Oh, awesome. I remember he was one of the first people to talk about that Christopher Columbus didn't discover the Caribbean, and I was like, yes. I was like, yes. I was so damn glad when he said it. I was so happy. All right, so okay, Norm. So I invited you again. I'm waiting for you to respond. Yeah. Oh, it's not. Sissy says, Kirk didn't. It says, Kirk, you don't have long hair. Why you know what? This has been happening forever because when I had hair, I used to always tuck. So now I just have I forever and ever. My sisters laugh about it all the time. Just leave me, let me tuck me fake hair, please. Okay. Wow. What? Wow, that's really awesome. From Whence We Came, that was the show. Wow, he just got his PhD. That is awesome. Wow. I love it. So Norma, it's saying that you're not answering the call. So I don't know what that means, but Stacey, you're funny. This is so cool that Dr. Adrian Fraser's son has just got his PhD and he's a writer as well. So Sky says, yeah, me see time for technical director. But why the hell you don't become the goddamn technical director, Sky? Stop talking, if you're gonna do it, you just come and do it. You be the technical director. How about that? Now I'm a viewer. Don says now I'm a viewer. So, all right, until we get Homegirl in, let me tell y'all about Homegirl's book. So this is Norma's book, right? It's called The Devil in Was in My Bed. And this is Norma on the back. That's her right there. And that's her co-writer right there. And so Norma is Jamaican. She is the cousin of Grace Jones and obviously her brother, Pastor Jones in LA. And so she was married to this guy who was a doctor. They fell in love. And this man, I mean, it's a true story. This man tried to kill her. And the doctor tried to kill her. I mean, it's unbelievable. And to hear her tell the story, and like, she works in a lab, and she didn't know what was wrong with her. She's kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker, and the man keeps feeding her whatever he's feeding her, and she's thinking that it's love, and the man really is trying to kill her. Like she's in bed with the goddamn devil. And then eventually she said she kept praying and praying and praying about it. And then all of a sudden she said she started vomiting. And it's not allowing me to come on. Oh my God. Hey Norma, log out of it, close Facebook down, and then start back up again and see if that works, and then come back into the chat, and then because my girlfriend Jean, it happened the same with her. So just use your phone because I'm seeing you when you logged in. I saw you. So if you log out, X out of Facebook, restart your phone, and do it over, and then it will probably let you in. Okay, and we'll try that. So homegirl's husband, so she starts praying and she's praying. She's like, oh my God, what's happening with me? And she was always like this little tiny thing. And then she started putting on weight, and her stomach started giving her problems. And so for months and months and months, she's getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and they can't find anything wrong with her. And then, so she starts praying, really praying, going into prayer, and she immediately starts vomiting. And she starts vomiting, and she smells the vomit, and she figures something is wrong. The lab tech in her kicks in, and she puts it in a container, and she takes it to the lab. And when they run tests, realize that this man was poisoning her. So, I mean, it was a process. It was a process, and she literally has come full circle on this. The man literally he tried to sell the house that they lived in and not to give her anything. And the house got tied up. Everything got tied up. God just keeps blessing her and giving her favor. And so, and he's a Jamaican too. That's the fucked up part about this shit. I mean, the book is interesting, and I really think I want her to meet Don because I think they will connect. But the book here has Tori, and I think what I love about these two women is that it's two sides of this two different spectrums across two different things on the spectrum. This is awesome. Oh, thank you. Somebody said this is awesome. But here is this. Um, and I love that we can tell our story. And, this story will speak to some people. It may not be your husband trying to poison you, but you will be able to see some kind of similarity in your life, whatever you're going through, or someone you might know. It's so interesting how we as a Caribbean people, we always have a story, and our stories resonate throughout. And so sometimes it's an old story that we're telling, that we're bringing forward. And so it's so important that the storytellers are in our lives. You have people like Paul Keene Douglas. Hey, Kyle. I hope he in jail now. I want her to tell the story about the goddamn man. But the man's a fucking disaster. And, he should be disbarred and everything else. Just terrible human being. But, you have these amazing storytellers throughout the Caribbean who tell these amazing stories. And they're not shared. They're not shared throughout the world. And we go in and we buy other people's stories. We buy all these Sleeping Beauties and the this and the that and the whatever. But we have amazing stories in the Caribbean, throughout this Caribbean diaspora, that can be told. And now I'm seeing I see they did that movie Moana, the Hawaiian movie. And there are stories in the Caribbean that could be told that same way too, but it is for us to come together collectively, or a group of people professionally, and put it together and put it out there, because places like Disney are always open to new material. We just need to know how to do it and how to do it well. And we can tell a story, but we have we can tell that story, but we have to tell a story the way we tell it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we tend to try to modernize our story or Americanize our story or Europeanize our story, but our story has to be that raw story that we tell, the way we tell it, how we tell it, in order for it to make any sense to the rest of the world, because they want the cultural part of it. And so our culture is what the world wants. They don't want the watered down version. They don't want the version that is Americanized or Europeanized. They want the Caribbean culture. True to fact. I mean, the story of Joseph Chatouet it comes to my mind all the time. I mean, here is a man who is a primitive, according to the people of the time, and he is the chieftain of the Carib nation, the Garifuna nation in St. Vincent. And the Brits come in, they beat them off the island. The Dutch come, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, and they beat them off the island. Here are these people beating these primitives who don't have guns. They have spears and sticks and stones, and they're beating these trained soldiers that are, you know, civilized off of St. Vincent, keeping them at bay. And it's not until they join forces collectively and come and invade the country and kill him up on Dorsetshire Hill and divide the Carib nation. And the people who ran in the bush, they didn't know how to get them because they don't know the bush. So they take these people and they put the ones that they caught, they put them on Baliso and Batawea for them to die. And then when they go back a few months later, they realize that they're not dead. They found a way to survive. Because that's what you do. That is what indigenous people do. It's like you live off the sea, you live off of whatever's around you. And they take them from there and ship them off to South America. So again, that's how we see a lot of Garifuna in Belize and in Honduras and other parts of South America. But, people don't realize how important St. Vincent and the Grenadines is to the Garifuna Nation. There's huge things, there's amazing things that St. Vincent has a lot of history and a lot of legacy, and I'm very, 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 very proud to be Vincentian. I mean, we have the oldest. Yeah, Norma, it keeps saying that it's not. Yeah, something's wrong with your Majiggy. Um, Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find you, Norma. Um, who says what watching bring? Okay. Hey, Noach, what's going on, boo boo? So someone says, yes, indeed, Kirk. Love the story my uncle wrote about him. So I need to get that book when I'm home. So please remind me when I'm home. Actually, when I see him, I'll get it. I would love to have that book. I think it would be so amazing. I'm really excited now. I'm really excited now about going home even more. I was excited before, but I'm super, super excited now because I get to get Dr. Adrian Frazier's book on Joseph Shatter. Isn't that so cool? I love it. So Norma says, have to take this phone back to the phone company. Dr. Adrian Fraser will be the ideal guest to talk about our history. I think this is going to be so cool. I really think, like, while I'm home, I will do the Dr. Adrian Fraser conversation, and I think that would be so freaking cool. Yes. So I want to really do a lot of that when I'm home in the Caribbean. So like when I'm in St. Vincent, have like a couple of conversations with legends like Michael Findley, with like Dr. Adrian Fraser. Um, who else I want to talk to? Renee Batiste is a good one too, because I mean she's like the most colorful news anchor we've ever had, and she's super cool. And other people, you know what I mean, like the regular layman, like people, like old people who have stories about when they were young and how St. Vincent was back in the day. I think that's really cool. And like when I go to St. Lucia, I'll do the same thing. Like, meet other people too, people who are doing amazing things, but people who have the stories to tell about how it was back in the day. And when I go to Martinique, I'll do the same thing. And when I go to Antigua, I'll do the same thing too. So I'm really excited about that. Where are we at? So Norma says, tell my people Friday if it's okay. Um, okay, so Friday we could talk to Norma. What am I doing Friday? You know what, Norma? Friday is not a good day. Friday is something else because I'm talking to the gays on Friday. So Friday is my day when I talk to gay people from around the diaspora. So I have a Trinidadian, I have a Guyanese, and I have a Belizean who are going to be on, and we're going to talk about the modern day gays. So if we can't get Norma on tonight, remember her book. It's called The Devil Was in My Bed. It's available on Amazon as well. And reach out to her. She's here. And we will have her on. If we can't get her on tonight, we will have her on in a future conversation. But it's just, yeah, Norma, it keeps saying that you're not available. But again, The Devil's in My Bed. The Devil Was in My Bed, sorry. And it's so it says Francis Jones and Calvin Anthony Duncan are the writers of the story. So on the book, it's Francis Jones. Yes. And she is Grace Jones's cousin. She's really cool, really good people. And she and I bonded. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. I think it's really great. It's a good read. It's one of those things that you literally read in one day. It's you're like, you're like a crack addict. It's really good. So Dominican history as well. Wow. So I have a lot to, because I don't know, I know some history of the Caribbean. I know a lot of Vincentian history. I know some Martinican history. Like one of the amazing things is like in Martinique. So I think I said this before, but a lot of people don't know that Josephine Bonaparte, Napoleon Bonaparte's wife, was born in the island of Saint Lucia. Her family were plantation owners. And so after slavery was abolished, they lost everything. And oh, Basti Alexander. Oh my God, that's so true. And Daki Williams. You know who too? Boney knows. I mean, my godfather. I'm gonna go talk to he too. So but wouldn't it be so great if there was like a bunch of like it'd be great. I want to figure out if there are like books on the history of like each island, like their history that's written down and by them. So I think that will be my new thing. I have a book two coming. So Norma said that she has book two coming. Hey Leslie. So anyway, we're talking about Josephine Bonaparte. So Josephine Bonaparte, her family lost all their money. So they moved to Martinique where they had like a little plantation and they lived there. So now she's aristocratic, so they ship her off to Paris to marry her off to Napoleon. So after they're married, Napoleon says to her, like, what does she want as a wedding present? And she says for them to reinstate slavery in the Caribbean. So for a short period of time in history, this is when the Haitian Revolution and all that happened, was that for a short period of time in history, in the French Caribbean, slavery was reinstated for a short period of time. And so Josephine Bonaparte became hated in the French Caribbean. So in Martinique, where in the town where her family's estate was, there was a statue of her erected, and so it was decapitated, and to this day the statue stands there without a head. I mean, that is so cool, right? I love it. I love a good history story, and there's so many stories. I mean, my grandfather told me this story when I was little. So I don't know if it was to scare us or he was just telling a story. So my grandfather and Mr. Butte, my grandfather, and some other guy were friends, right? Oh God, why can't I remember the man's name? Anyway, so my grandfather, these three guys, and my grandfather, they were in a band. So my grandfather, it was late one night, they were playing, and they come home and they had to walk this one friend up to the place where he lived, like going up Dorsetshire Hill. Like for those in Central who know Sion Hill, so it's like you walk around and you go up and it's like where the post office is over there, the sign of the post office. But anyway, so it's like going up that way. So they leave and they're gonna walk the man home. And this time there's no lamppost. Like lamppost was like non-existent. And so it's dark at night. And so they hear like something running behind them. And so they decide to run through the shortcut to get up to the guy's house. By the time they get up to the man's house, to the guy's house, the guy's mother's standing at the door, and she hurries them inside and she says, you guys are going to sleep over tonight. And he says, why? She says, because whatever the demon was that was chasing you came into the yard and it came before you guys and it made a ruckus in the yard and it was like hitting on the house and whatever. So my grandfather them say, they were like, scared as shit. So this is the shit was scared on them. And he said that they were in the house and then all of a sudden they hear like the house go like the things start beating up on the house and they were like really scared of shit. So the woman starts praying and all this kind of shit. And then in the morning, so then it stopped. And then in the morning when they go out in the yard was all like messed up and stuff. So the thing was like it came like the demon came and it was like a cattle and it like a bull and it was it dug up its hooves in the yard and he said it was like I mean my grandfather told like a good story boy, but he said like as a kid there was always all these stories about people who did things, and there was this man, right? There's this guy and the guy had made a bargain with the devil, and so every time the guy had a kid, the kid would go missing. So the kid would go missing, and he said that at one point they keep saying, "Oh, they send the kid to the country to the woman's mothers or whatever." And so after a few years, they're just like, we never see these kids. Come to find, so there was a storm, right? So the guy, no, so they're questioning the kids. They go to the sister, they go to the mother house, and mother's like, "Which kid?" And they're now looking for the kids, the police and stuff. And the guy is helping them look for the kids too. Motherfucker. And so, anyway, so then a storm happens, some hurricane or something comes up. And the guy was doing, the guy would go down to Indian Bay or Great Head Bay. I think it was Great Head Bay. Go down to Great Head Bay and he would kill the children to sacrifice them and bury them like in the sand. And so when the hurricane came, it unearthed the bodies. I think that at that point there was like they would hang people. They hanged that bitch, and the wife was just like she was one of those women who just like did whatever the husband wanted. I don't know. He didn't really say what happened to her, but the guy got hung. But I mean, there's so many stories. I mean, you have stories of people who were like mass murderers, who were like serial killers. Like St. Vincent had a serial killer. If y'all didn't know, St. Vincent had a serial killer. You know how Trinidad used to have men used to chop off your hand for gold and chop off your neck for gold and shit? St. Vincent had those too. You remember when it used to have Chopper Man? Y'all ever remember in your island there used to be Chopper Man? And for the people who are not West Indian, I'm sure your culture has something like a man who go around with a machete and kill people and take their jewelry, or rape young girls and shit. I mean, there's so many stories. There's a girl who was the queen in St. Vincent. I forgot. She was some girl, young, or some Donna Young, I think was her name. No, it wasn't Donna Young. It was anyway, some girl, but she was this beautiful, beautiful girl, and some man kidnapped her one night and raped her and cut her throat and threw her a ravine. It was a big scandal in St. Vincent. It was so damn dramatic. I was young. They did not want you to leave the house. Like, boy, girl, by the time the sun started setting, your little ass was in that house, honey. The windows were locked, the doors were locked, you were in. It was terrifying. But women were being cut, women were being chopped, their necks were being chopped off. Like, St. Vincent was crazy. And they used to occur like at random times of the year. And these men would get caught. And then there was a story of this man named Dougie Hamlet. So I'm going to tell y'all this one because I kind of know this one by heart. Because we had bought this house in Paul's Avenue that was owned by his family. Okay, so let me give you a little story on that. So there's this beautiful, everybody know Julie Mango. Julie Mango is like the best mango in the whole world. So there's a Julie Mango tree in our backyard, and in front of the Julie Mango tree there is a chicken coop, and then there's the house, and then there's a plum tree, and there's another plum tree, and there's banana trees, and blah blah blah. The backyard had enough thing in there, coconut tree and that. But anyway, so the kids in the neighborhood used to climb this Julie mango tree because it was like the sweetest mango tree in the whole area. So what he did, Mrs. Dougie Hamlet, is that he ran an electrical wire onto the tree, um, that was connected to electricity. And so this one kid, when he came to the house, when he came to go up on the tree, he was electrocuted to death. Don't ask me how the man could justify that. Well, anyway, so the whole community came together and they stoned the house and they had to run for their lives. So they moved and lived somewhere else. So fast forward. So we buy the house. We buy this house. And one day I'm in the backyard and I see this kid. So I'm having a conversation with the kid, but we're not touching each other. The kid's on the wall and we're talking and whatever. And so it went on for a couple of months. And so one day now my grandmother's talking to this woman and at the gate. And so I come and I'm talking. I said, oh, my friend, and whatever the kid's name was. And the woman's like, what you say? And I said, oh, whatever the kid's name is. And I said it again. And then the woman was just like, well, that's my son, but he died years ago. And she started rehashing the story about Dougie Hamlet and the running of the thing. But come to find out that the guy's spirit, the boy's spirit was there. And I was seeing it for whatever reason. Don't even ask me, but whatever. So the spirit was there. And I was talking with the kid, but we never really touched each other. Or, it was like me, your grandmother, I would say, don't talk to strangers. And the kids in the neighborhood is bad children. So you kind of like keep your distance, but still be intrigued. Like you want to know what the kid knows. And like, so that was just my conversation with the spirit. Well, anyway, so fast forward a couple of years. So for years, he's been murdering women, right? Because the girl who was killed the young woman that was raped and killed, her neck was cut off, her head was cut off and was dangling by that much. Well, apparently they had said that he was the one who had committed the crime and he got off, right? So the story was that the mother was a master Obi woman, and the mother used to deal with the occult. So every time he did something, I remember my mom talking about this story because my mom used to work at the courthouse, and my mom said that the day that the case called, his mother came into the courthouse and opened her bag, and out of her bag pops a cockfowl. And the fowl flies to the four corners of the courtroom. And I remember, I don't know if people know this story. Like some of you must have known this story. Y'all parents have to tell out about this. But anyway, so it flies to the four corners of the courtroom, and then it lands on the judge's desk and shits, and the case gets dismissed. This is like a story that everyone in civilization must know, like the older generation. Well, anyway, so then he kills someone else later. I think he may have done like 3 or 4 murders, and then eventually some woman was living in St. Vincent from some other country. She was a judge, and they were in a relationship apparently, and she ended up being murdered, and he, I guess, up to his death, kept saying that he did not commit the murder, but they hung his ass. So, I mean, it was crazy. At that time, like, they hanged that bitch, honey. He kicked off and everything. He was like, yeah. It was crazy. But St. Vincent has really cool, and I think throughout the Caribbean, like, you hear stories about, like, one of my, like, in Trinidad, I have this cousin, her name was Susan, and my god sister. So they were from St. Vincent. The mother was Trinidadian, the father was Vincentian. She was a Webb. The father's name was Boston Webb. And my godmother was Gemma Webb. And so they lived in Sign Hill. Gemma and my mom were best friends. And so anyway, they moved back. The father died. He used to sail on a bulk ship, and then all of a sudden he falls off the ship and drowns. Again, the story is. So he falls off the ship and he drowns. And so she moves back to Trinidad with her kids. So there's like, I think they had like 6 kids. They had 3 daughters. There are 2 daughters. No, it's 3 daughters and 3 sons. So the 6 kids. And so they moved back to Trinidad. And then Susan was the eldest, I think. And so apparently she was with some guy. And I don't know what happened. The guy and she had a falling out. And she decides to drink Gramatzone. And runs outside Aldramatic and runs into some sugarcane field and dies. It's just very melodramatic, honey. I just was like, what the hell? What this Gramazone thing? So my mother and Auntie Gemma were talking about the Gramazone, and I was just like, what the hell is Gramazone? And then my grandfather tells me Gramazone is what a weed killer, and people drink it to kill themselves. So that's how I found out about the whole Gramazone thing. And then you have the Indians, them who just drink Gramazone. because a woman put them or whatever. It's very dramatic. The Caribbean has so much dramatic stories. It's so fabulous. It's so fabulous. It's so fabulous. Caribbean history is rich. I agree. 100%. Rising Sun says yes. Norma says I have a book too coming out. Amazing. Stacey Dapper says yes. A Leslie, hi. No, she says you stop slaying and tell message about those amazing cheekbones. You know what's funny is that I'm losing weight, right? I'm losing weight, and when I lose weight, you see it in my face first. That's how I know I'm losing weight. So I'm losing weight, and so my cheekbones become more prominent. But then, two, I'm doing a photo shoot while I'm in St. Vincent, for a brand that I'm a brand ambassador for. I am a face of a skincare company, as you all know. And it is this company. It is, there we go. So Hyruna Island Soaps, has asked me to be the face of, the product. So yes, I am going to be a brand ambassador. So I do my first shoot in January, and it will be for, I will tell y'all, it will be for the Vincentian chocolate foaming body scrub, which I love. I love, I love, I love. So I'm gonna tell y'all about that. I'm gonna intersect right here, but so what I loved about, and of course this is a story again too. So when I was little, my sisters and I would always go to the country, to our country estate in Mesopotamia called Farm, with our grandparents, with my grandfather. I went with my grandparents, which was my grandmother, Mary Nichols, Cambridge, who was awesome. And I would go with her and I'd pick up eggs and stuff. And she died later, early in my life. She stepped on a nail and she was very stubborn. And so they had to cut the leg off because she became gangrenous and she couldn't live without her legs. So, she died. My grandfather was a trooper, Claude Cambridge. He was a real trooper, and he would take us to the country every on the weekends. And so on the weekends we'd do the things. I had my little rain boots, and I'd go up and go, you know, cut banana and plant banana suckers and milk a cow and tie a cow out. And I had a cow named Kathleen that I named after my mom, and it was great. Growing up was awesome. So the on our estate there's a little house, and then there's a tank, a water tank, and then there's a shed. There are two sheds, two different sheds. And so there's this one shed where we kept the cocoa from the plantation, from the plantation. And so we keep the cocoa there. And so when we go, my grandfather would have this mill. I don't know if you guys know that hand mill. So he had the hand mill, and so he'd put the cocoa in, and he'd like, come on, Kirk, use them muscles. And so I would be like grinding the cocoa, and so he'd put cinnamon and cloves and the cocoa beans, and we'd have dry the cocoa beans. So I used to dry cocoa beans too. And so he'd grind the cocoa, and then it come out into like the big glob, and then he would take parts of it and he would teach me how to roll it into the long sticks, the long cocoa sticks. And then while they're still moist, you would cut them into like a 3 or 4 inch stick, So, and then we'd go and milk the cow, and then he'd take the fresh milk, warm it, and then he'd melt the cocoa that we just made in it and make us cocoa tea. So, okay, now that story said, so, um, Hyruna Island Soap sends me some product, and the first thing I use is this foaming scrub because it says Vincentian chocolate. So I open the container, and the first smell, I started crying. Ooh, I'm about to start again. But the first thing, it takes me right back to when I was 6, where my grandfather would have me milling this cocoa, and you smell cocoa, like for real cocoa, like cocoa for real. For those of us who know what real Caribbean cocoa smell like, you smell that distinctly without prejudice. It smells like cocoa and cinnamon and bay leaf and clove. It really smells like that. And so I eventually I stood there in my shower and I cried for like 5 minutes because it brought me back to one of the happiest memories of my life. And I was just like, damn, this is some good shit. Pull myself together. But again, this is what the Caribbean does to us. This is what the Caribbean is that we have these stories and there are things in our lives that bring these stories to life. And so I fell in love with this Vincentian chocolate, foaming sugar scrub. It brought me back to when I was 6 years old. And that is my story about Vincentian chocolate, the Vincentian chocolate foaming sugar scrub from Hiruna Island soaps. Okay, so that is my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm gonna take some comments now. Okay, so, oh, Lennox Honey Church. I don't know who that is. You know what, Lisa, you just send me a list of who these people are. Oh, so he's a History of St. Lucia by Duveau Ela. Okay, it's on Amazon. Awesome. And then Sonoji says the elders will know and someone could pen their information. This is true. Amy says you will get those info when you connect with Dr. Fraser. Awesome. Uh, yep, statue's still here. Statue's still here. I love it. Happy Thanksgiving, Kirk. Girl, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Nobody don't wish me happy Thanksgiving. I do not celebrate Thanksgiving. I went to story again. So I was in uh, North Dakota, I think, a few years ago. And we planned to go to this reservation. So on the reservation, it was around Thanksgiving time. And so they were having a conversation, the people of the community, whatever. And so we go and we could listen. And they talked about what Thanksgiving really meant to them, the Native Americans. And I'm telling you, it sick my stomach. It was a massacre. It was nothing good. It was nothing what the books say. Their version of it was so real and so telling. And it's so funny because they're talking about that, right? And in my mind, all I could see was Joseph Chatouet. It was the funniest thing. They're talking their story, and all I could say, wow, look how the world is so similar. Because they went through what they went through, and Joseph Chatouet and the characters of St. Vincent and Grenadines went through something very similar. So I do not, since then, I'm not a really big Thanksgiving person. I put it up. I wish people happy Thanksgiving because it's their thing. Don't eat goddamn turkey. Turkey doesn't make me sleep. Me really like turkey meat anyway, so it's perfectly fine. The only turkey I want is maybe some stewed turkey wing ever so often, like if I home with some roast breadfruit, but me really particular about it. But thank you, though, Les. Thanks, doll. Why you scared? Why you scare me? But ask St. Lucian's about Devil Bridge. Ooh. You have to tell me about Devil Bridge, Don. Hey, Joe. Do not ask. I want to know. Oh my God, evil. Hey, Rudy. I'm sure Rudy Peter has some stories about St. Lucia too. I'm sure. Hey, Ali. Nochi says, no lie. In Africa, in some parts, they said they used to chop off people's hands, put it in a closet, and turn into money. Wow. Noach, that is crazy. Hey, Sam. How are you, doll? So gorgeous. Noach says, they used to thief people picnic and put them in a wardrobe to turn into money. Every culture had drama, eh? Oh my goodness. Hey Iggy, what's going on? So Christine says, oh yes, one was in Yambu and Mesopotamia. Wow. Oh, that is so cool. I just love the stories. Hey Peaches, hey Brian, hey Richard Young. Richard Young have good stories too, you know. Oh my God, here's some good stories, man. Hey Noah, hi Sue. Wow. Yes, but lad, for true, for true, for true. Yes, heard about that when I was living in St. Vincent. Sky says that was an accident, bro. What was an accident? Old wife tail boss. Um, Sky says, but he didn't kill that woman. His killing was political. Oh, really? Hey, Jasmine. Hey, Zanzan. Grammar Zone was a style at one time. Oh no, I think it's still popular in Trinidad, you know. Because one time when I was in Trinidad, like 2012, right? It was Atalia. It was Atalia, and Crystal and I were driving, and we were making fun of. We were funning about it because we'd stop at a rum shop, and I was like, so I come at the rum shop, and they just said how some man had drank Grandma's Own because his wife bought him. So I started to say, well, I'm just going to start making Grandma's Own products, like an aerosol, one like a lotion, things you can rub on your skin and you just die, instead of having to drink it. So you have to find like alternative ways for suicidal people to ingest it or take it that's not drinking. So I was like, I came up with all these ideas: butter, um, sardines, injectables. I mean, I was just like, we were dying. It was so fun. It was so fun. It was terrible that the man was dead, but the fact that like, they were so into like Grandma's Zone, in the Indian community in Trinidad, I was just like, this is crazy. We just need to capitalize and just create different things, you know? Terrible, I know, I know, I know. Oh, congrats. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love the product, so, I don't have a problem. And I keep getting people keep always saying to me, oh, would you be the face of this product or whatever? And it's just like it's not products I believe in. So I can't be the face of something that I don't believe in, and I can't promote something I don't believe in. So, so this is a good thing because I liked the product and I liked it before I even knew that the person that she was West Indian. She was Vincentian. Hey Bruce, so says, can you make cocoa stick? Of course. Of course I could make cocoa stick. Of course, of course, of course, of course. Hello. I could make sorrel, I could make gingerbread, I could make marby, I could make anything. I could make black cake. I make black cake. Oh yes, and nothing I can do, really. Except have a child. But I'm gonna that's why I'm gonna rent someone's womb soon. Camille, hey. She says nostalgia at its best. It really is, isn't it? It's so cool. Amy says, I didn't did that a lot. I kept my mom roast the cocoa beans and grind them in the mill. But what's funny is that we didn't roast them. What we did is that my grandfather used to, oh no, no, I did lie. He used to put them on the roof, like he had like this, they had like these, what do you call them again? Galvanized sheets, on these pillars, and they would put them there to dry in the sun. And then I don't remember if they used to dry them, like roast them. I think they used to just dry them in the sun for a couple of days and then just use them like that. I think. I could be wrong. I'll have to ask my Uncle Junior. He'll know. So, okay, he wrote out two school history books. Oh, that's awesome. Your Thanksgiving in is Saraka in St. Vincent. Huh, interesting. I didn't know that. You have to tell me about that. Didn't I don't celebrate it at all too much. Blood was shed. Yep, that was a pretty jumbie. Oh, the pretty jumbie. Oh my God. So yeah, I'm sure Vincentians have to know about Pretty. So Pretty was this jumbie that came from Trinidad apparently and possessed some young girl in well, she was possessed again. Outside of town. I leave town, go around Lomans. I think it was Lomans. And so the girl used to like, the thing used to attack her at night. And so it became like a thing in Vincent, in St. Vincent, where people would like drive up there. There was people selling food and drinks to see the spirit act up. So that's what happened in Simmons. There was the pretty, and then some man came from Trinidad and put him in a shell, right? It was a shell they put pretty in. They put him in a shell of some sort and take it back to Trinidad. Yeah, it was crazy. That was a crazy time when the zombie possessed that girl. Oh my God. That was crazy. My mom took me a couple times. I was just like, I can't watch this shit. Oh, zombie is a big thing. Zombie and Obi is a big thing in the Caribbean. Have plenty Obi a story. Um, Let me see. So Mr. Okay. Awesome. So someone's okay, Jasmine says they used to parch them after they dry them, Kirk, the cocoa beans. Oh, okay. So I guess he did that. I never did it. Yes, in Canada they celebrate Shak Sashaka. What's Sashaka? Y'all have to tell me what Sashaka is. I've never heard of it before. Peruvian veil. Okay. Pretty possessed the girl in Bel Air. But there was a girl that was possessed in Lomans too. There was another possession in Lomans as well. So okay, that's Peru. Okay, Bel Air. All right. Nadine said there are persons who still perform rituals in burial grounds, laugh out loud, and walk out backwards naked. Oh God, Daddy, leave me alone. I hear about that. I hear about that. I have one story about that, right? Cook, you know, go make me sleep tonight. Big up man like you, please. Calm down, boss. That young lady was sick. You was who young lady? So Sky, you trying to tell me that the girl wasn't possessed? You know how people home like Obia. It is like Thanksgiving. Each household prepares meal from their crops and the fish and crabs they caught and come together in Balance Village in Canouan. Oh my God, that sounds so cool. That really sounds cool. Sharaka. Wow. I'd love to know the history of that, like where it started. That'd be cool. So, I'm gonna get out one more story, and then I'm gonna leave y'all alone. So, there was this woman, right? This woman that I know. No, no, it was Peruvian Veil. She was a Bacchus. Been such a real story, boy. Woo! Anyhow, drama. Anyhow, so this woman, her husband, the husband was like a drug dealer, and so he would commit crimes, kill people, whatever. Lisa says she loved it. And he would kill people, whatever. And then, so this one time he would get away with it. And so I guess for a long time, like they would go to an opiate woman and whatever, and then he would always get off. So this one time, a murder, some kind of crime happened, and the authorities found that it was him, and so he was arrested, tried, and everything, and he was sitting in jail. And so the wife goes, and she goes to Obio man, and they go to a cemetery, and they do whatever they have to do. And hey Christian, hey Dante, is your show over? And so they go to the Sharama, Sharama, Sharamar. Oh, Saramar. Saramar. Oh wow, that's cool. Okay, so I need to find out more about Saramar. So if you have it, send it to me. So anyway, so she goes to the Oreo man and they go to the cemetery and they do whatever they have to do with the bones and the this and drinking from the skull of some dead person, right? And the husband is freed from jail. So one of the things was that the wife has to move away with the children from the husband. So the wife moves away, and so I guess it was to protect their children or whatever. But the thing, whatever it is, followed. Of course, you know, everything you do that's evil requires payment eventually. And so the son older, a few years older than the sister, tries to drown the sister. This time they're like 19 or 20. They're a few years apart. And so he snaps. Brilliant boy snaps and tries to drown her in the bathtub. And when they ask him, they put him in a mental institution. They ask him like why he tried to drown the sister, and he says that she's possessed. There's a demon that follows with her. There's a demon that's with her, and he has to exorcise the demon. And then he starts telling the mother, he's like, you're the reason, you're my dad, are the reason why this thing is on me, why I'm the way I am, and why this thing is haunting me. And so whatever it is haunting the kid. And so the whole thing busts wide open, and the kid starts talking about everything that's happened as to why he has lost his mind. He's now gone totally bonkers and tried to kill his sister. And so a lot of people, like this stuff is, iniquity is real. It just depends on you. I've had my stint with it. Someone tried to zook me before. It didn't work because I don't believe in that stuff. You know what I mean? So they tried to catch me with cookies first because I liked chocolate chip cookies. But what they'd failed to realize was that the only chocolate chip cookies I ate were the ones from my grandmother. So they kept trying to bring them, and I would throw them. Yeah, grammar school has these little holes in the wall, and so I would throw them through the holes, and they would drop in the swamp behind the school. And I would say, yeah, they were great, but it wasn't working. And so they eventually tried to steal my book during CXCs, and they stole one of my notebooks, and then it was missing for like 2 weeks, and then it comes back, and I kept falling asleep. But the thing is that with me is that I am a proofreader. So if I read something, I read it multiple times before I let it go. So I always like to read things more than once, and so it sticks in my head. And they didn't count on that. And so I guess whatever they did was meant to for me to fail, and it didn't happen. And so one day I was I left grammar school and I was walking down by the post office with the said person, and this Baptist lady walked up to me. She said, I need to talk to you. And I said, yes. And she said, you don't know me. I said, well, obviously, I don't know you. What do you want? And she says, that boy you're walking with is not your friend. Him and his mother tried to dirty you. And I said, okay. And she says, tomorrow I'll meet you back here at after 3, and I'll give you something. And I was just like, okay. So I go home and tell my grandmother, but my grandmother's just like, what these Baptist people want. So anyway, so next day I'm leaving school, I'm walking down, and there's this woman. And so she gives me this little box, like a matchbox. And so it smelled kind of funny, and it had like little oil stains on it, or whatever. And she says, sleep with it under your pillow for 9 days, for 9 nights. And then on the ninth day, on the 10th day, you're to get up, and you are going to go out to the water, and you're going to throw it as far as you can, and you're going to just turn your back, and you're going to walk away. Rubbish. Anyhow, so I get home, and turns out that one of my cousins, who is a mother in a church, is there talking to my grandmother. And I throw the thing on the coffee table on the veranda, and I was just like, ugh, it's foolishness. And so my grandma's like, what is that? And I said, well, some lady gave it to me, and she said I need to sleep with it under my pillow for 9 nights, and then throw it away in the ocean. And so, hey, Nasir, how are you doing? Long time no see. And so so the woman turns my cousin picks it up, and she smells it, and she says, it's acifesita, pelican shit. I guess is the best thing to call it. And so it's supposed to ward off spirits or whatever, 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 whatever. So she said, well, no harm, no foul. Just sleep with it under your pillow. And so my grandmother and I agreed, and so I did it. And then on the 10th day, I got up and I walked out to the ocean in the morning, like at 5 o'clock. And I threw out in Kingstown Harbor, and I threw it out into the water, and I turned around and I walked away. And suffice it to say, I still passed Common Entry. I still passed CXCs and whatever, and the person had to go back and set subjects again. Poor thing. Anyway, so Yes, people do ridiculous stupidness because they have nothing else to do and they need to occupy their time. I think if people would occupy their time, because if you're going to walk Obia to get rich. Don't walk Obia to to dirty people. Oh, okay. Good, good, good. Can see you now. Awesome. And then okay, so I'm gonna take these comments and then okay, so everyone's talking about Saraka. So everyone's talking about that. So it says no. So Sky says nobody have no spiritual that they can pray and make anything happen to anyone. I don't believe that people people will with minds. Oh, honey, you'd never be surprised. Go Denry. Oh God, Lisa, you're a disaster. I love it. Lisa said go Denry. Oh my God. Somebody said I was correct. Sky says he has a smart. He played crazy. Sky said the lady that gave you the shit is she rich now? I doubt it. I don't know. I never saw her again, so I don't know what her situation was. I never saw the woman in my life. I saw her that two times. I never saw her again. Then he says, I can relate. Someone tried to shit with my son in September with a book. Yep, girl, I'm telling you, they're not fucking easy. People not fucking easy, I tell you. They're not easy. You know, my thing is this is at the end of the day, hurting somebody else is never going to make your situation or your life or your children any better. A lot of people fail to realize that whatever they do in life, whatever they do now, it's going to affect your kids later on, whether it is 10 years later, 20 years later, and it goes on and it becomes a cycle. So the bad things you do now, the malicious things you do now, the evil things you do now will come back to get your kids. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, this is just the way the world works. And so people, you, they do things when they were young and forget, and then they have kids, and you notice your kids are acting up, and the kids doing bad things, and your kid always in trouble, and you say, "Oh, why my child so?" What did you do? What did you do? What did you do to someone else? Were you always this righteous? Were you always this righteous person? Were you always a Bible thumper? Were you always in the church? Were you always holier than thou? No, you weren't. You were young ones, and you made mistakes, and you did things, and you keep saying, "Oh, I repented for those," but did you really? Did you really reach out to the person that you hurt and tell them that you're sorry? So, we sit and we don't realize that a lot of times when things happen, we see our children acting up a certain way. We see, you're in a bad relationship and it's a bad relationship after a bad relationship after a bad relationship. It's all because of the evil shit that you've done. That is why you ask, pay now, and whoever you have wrong you have to pray up, be prayed up, and ask forgiveness of the people that you've hurt. I try, I make it my life mission never to hurt anyone intentionally. And if I do, I always ask forgiveness. And, if I say something that hurts someone and it's never intentional, and I will ask forgiveness and I will say that I was wrong. I'm never too big to say I'm wrong. Hey, Jackie, how are you, darling? Never big to say I'm sorry. A lot of us need to learn that, and I'm always open for asking for help. A lot of us don't do that either. We have to learn that we have to, as Caribbean people, we have that pride, and we don't want other people to know we business. Such rubbish. It's such rubbish. If you, my friend, one of my friends said to me, "Closed mouth don't get fed" is a Jamaican thing. He said his grandmother said to him all the time, and I was just like, I so agree, because if you need help, the only person that can help you is your neighbor and the people that are around you, and we have to reach out to those people in order to make life better for us. You know what I mean? And I'm not hating on nobody. I don't care what anyone has. I'm so happy for them. Hey, Bronx, how are you doing, man? I'm so happy for people when they are successful, especially West Indian people. We have to start supporting our own, because other people from the outside who are not West Indian are supporting our people, and we're not. And we have to start supporting our own and giving back to our communities and supporting our people and supporting young children and young people and young adults, because it's really dire. And there are a lot of people that need jobs, and we could hire a West Indian. Marlon Butte was on earlier today, and he said that he was interviewing people for a job that he has, and he said that there was one call that came in, and the guy sounded like a West Indian, and he said, "Where are you from?" And he said the guy was Vincent, and he was so happy, and so he's looking forward to meeting this young man from St. Vincent, um, and hopefully he can hire the guy if the guy is has the skill set. You know what I mean? And those things are really inspirational for me. Like I don't mind hiring West Indians, business wise. I've never done. I mean, I actually no. I have a Vincentian working for me now. Oh my God! I did it. Yeah, me. Um, but and it's funny is that I didn't realize she was intention because her business acumen was so on point, and she was so knowledgeable about customer service and business and all of these things. So when I interviewed her, I was just like, oh my God, she's so amazing. And in my head, I kept thinking because it's like I'm around my siblings. It's the only time I'm like really West Indian, and like when I'm here, like I do it a lot, but for the most part, I'm so proper, like hello, hello. Um, so anyway, so I interviewed her. I kept thinking she was Jamaican, so I kept saying to my boss, "Oh, I'm hiring a Jamaican." And it's not until the day that she comes into the orientation is that we're talking. It's like, "Oh yes, I was telling the staff that you're Jamaican." She's like, "No, I'm from St. Vincent," and I was just like, "What?" I mean, it was unbelievable. So, it's like those things make me happy. And she's very, very knowledgeable about every aspect of customer service. And it's like she and I would have these amazing conversations about business and customer service and service in the Caribbean. And, the fact that one of my problems is with going home is that when I go home, because I have I have 20 something years of customer service experience and 20 something years of managing at high end retail. And so for me, I expect customer service when you are a tourism, when you're dependent on tourism, I expect it to be of a higher standard. And so every time I went home, I would be disappointed. So for years, I didn't go to Simmons because of that. I was just like, every time I go, have a bad experience. And so then when I went back, I just was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to have a great time. And so I just picked and choose the places I went to eat. So like I would go to eat somewhere that was like, there's a couple places I want to try out and I'm going to videotape when I go home. So like hideout spots to go eat. And I'm really excited about that. But it's all about the customer service. Like I went to um, Hideaway. It was a Pirates Hideaway, I think it's called. I can't remember. It's something with pirates anyway. But it's this little bar that used to be where Tony's Pizzeria used to be. So it's in the back. And I mean, I went there and the service was so freaking amazing. When I tell you, I was shocked at how amazing it was. They were so polite, they were so friendly, they were so helpful, and I was like, this is what customer service needs to be. And then I go to another place, I'm gonna call it name. The staff was very incompetent. They had no clue what they were serving. They didn't know what was ready. They didn't know what was there. And so I was just got irritated. Karen, Nira, and I went to breakfast one morning. And oh my God, it was an experience. And I expected the place to be up and up, customer service, but it wasn't. The service was terrible. They didn't have the tea that I wanted, but you have it on your menu. Um, they didn't know what they were serving that day. Nothing was ready. It was breakfast time and they were open, but nothing was ready. So I had to be like, well, bring me whatever you have. Um, it was really bad. And so I think that, people, you have to know the business that you're in, and your staff must know. As a business owner, you must be able to rely on your staff to represent you when you're not there, and that only comes with training. And I say it 100,000 times, and if anybody want me to help you put it together, this is what I do. I will pull your business together for you. because that's what I do. Your staff just needs to be knowledgeable and understand what they are selling. That's it. And to always go above and beyond for customers. For me, it's all about acknowledgement. You within 10 seconds of me walking in, you need to turn around and be like, "Hey, welcome to blah blah. I can't help you right now, but I'll be right with you. One of us will grab you in a second. Okay, just bear with me. Acknowledge me, and I will wait for an hour if I have to. But when you don't acknowledge me and you like look at me and ignore me, first way for me to like leave. I do it all the time. I will not be ignored. I'm 6'3". I am 200 and something pounds. I am not small. I am not a tiny waif. You must see my ass. You know what I'm saying? I'm not no little goddamn waif. So I'm very, very visible. But, I think just customer service is a big thing for me. And we just have to always be on it. And now I enjoy going home. I went home twice last year and I'm going home again for Christmas. And then when you go to Korea's, oh my God, everybody in Korea's is so cool. But I guess because Jean and I are friends, they're all really nice to me. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the reason. But they're really excited to see me every time I'm home. So I love it. I love going there. And I like going to Susan Goodluck's shop too. That's really cool. Because she's really funny and her team is really cool. And they're very friendly. You know what I mean? You don't feel odd going there. You know what I mean? You walk in, it's not like people watching you like they never seen anybody before. So I like going there. And like when Leslie used to work at the bank, I used to like going there too because I used to cause a stir. All right, I'm gonna take a couple of comments and then we're done. Okay? So let me see. What did I leave off? I think it's something Sky was saying something. Hey Marlon. Oh, Marlon, you hired man? Marlon, beauty, way easy. Marlon, hire Vinci too. So Marlon, me, you on the same boat. The both of us hired Vincentians. Hey, kudos to us. Supporting we own. I think that's amazing. It's an amazing thing. And of course, um, Hyruna Island Soaps is owned by Vincentian. I mean, honestly, like look at this thing, right? This is the body serum, right? It's a unscented botanical body serum. And I love serums on my face. So I was really excited to get this guy. And but just look at the packaging, right? Like look at that. Like look how professional this is. All of the ingredients are on there, the description. I mean, everything that you need. Look at that. Everything. It's just like it's amazing, and it doesn't have a scent, which is great. But I mean, look at this packaging. It's like Body Shop, and we go to Body Shop and buy Body Shop shit, and we don't know what's in it. We can't read half of the ingredients. Every single thing that this girl puts in her product, you can read the ingredients for real. Like your goddamn children can read this shit. Like it's not nothing shit. It's cocoa butter. Like this is my favorite cream from her. It's a whipped body cream, body butter, and it's a coconut dream. And that's one of the things for me is that if I can't read the ingredients, I don't want it. So it's shea butter, coconut oil, sweet almond oil, vitamin E, and fragrance oil. That's it. Hello. With my face, it's the same thing. I mean, there are a couple things in there I can't read, but it's okay. It's keeping me looking young. But what I'm saying is that we go and we buy shit from other companies that the money is not going back into our community. The money is going in somebody else's pocket, which is fine, but we can support our own too. You know what I mean? I love that. I think it's really great. There's a lot of amazing Caribbean people out there. Like Stacy Delpesh. I did not realize that my cousin was a hairdresser. I kept thinking something completely different. And it's not until a couple weeks ago we're talking and she says her salon. I was like, your salon? And she's like, yeah. So we have a business meeting and I go to her salon to have this meeting with her. And it's like, I mean, the dopest place ever. Like the place is really clean, very prestigious, very like top notch. Cause Stacy don't play, honey. She's a Depeche for real. And and we're talking, and she's just like, yeah, I've done it all. She said, but I focus on coloring. The woman is a master colorist. The woman is certified on the highest levels. Like the clients she have coming in is like top-notch people. Like she's no joke. The chick is like, I was so impressed. I was so proud of my cousin. Oh my God. And it's just like, here I am thinking, well, I'm like, but my cousin is the dope shit too. You know what I mean? And there's so many other Vincentians. Like Marlon Butte did this, he posted these pictures of this staircase he did, like the before and after. I mean, unbelievable workmanship. I mean, just I'm so proud to be West Indian when I look at these things, when I see these things, and I find out, especially when I see it for myself. It's just like it's amazing. It's really amazing. I love it. 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 So someone to break the curse. Yes, Marlon. That's awesome. I know, right? That's really cool, right? Oh my God. So Stacy says we need to motivate, support, uplift our youth, and um, they need us. We need them. That's so true. Lisa says I had a hard time adjusting when I moved back. Girl, I don't know if I could move back. I could go on vacation. But I really do want my kids to I thought about it, and I was telling my grand that I think like once the kids are born, I'll move home for like a year or two, or when they're older enough, like maybe like for them to go to primary school in St. Vincent, so that they have that experience. So we'll see. I don't know. My mind might change. We'll see. Mala says, I know how it could be so hard. I had to. It's amazing. Lisa said KFC. Human resources development is extremely important. Girl, preaching to the choir. Good night, Kirk. Hey! Um, Lord, what a Mac rep in certain islands. That reps. So, Stacey says, Hiruna Island soap products will be sold at Madison Chic Beauty starting December. Yay! Oh my God, Stacey, you're so awesome. So guys, Hiruna Island soap products will be in New York and they will be carried at Stacey's salon. That is so cool. So Stacey, so post your information so everybody can call you. Hey Susan Van Lo, how are you doing, darling? Ah. Marlon, I did not do my hair. I went to have a meeting with my cousin about a venture that we're going into, which we will announce soon. It's just good. It's good. It's good. It's good. All good. No, no, no. Oh, Marlon, so you're talking about my beard as you wanted to talk about this. So when it looked really, really white is because my hair was long. And so usually it's white, but I didn't trim it that night. But this is what it looks like when I trim it. So it's that color when it's long, it's really white. And so I trim it. So this is generally what it looks like most of the time. Just so FYI, because he was making fun of my beard last week. Yay, Stacy. Watch me blushing. You are awesome. You're the best. I mean, it's awesome. Like, it's just like, it's funny how people don't understand their station. So, like for me, I would come in with certain things, but if I'm doing a project, whatever I'm hired for is what I'm staying as. I don't get involved in none of the other shit. I am not interested. That's how, and a lot of West Indians tend to be hired for one thing, but then they put them out in every single thing, and then that's how they get disliked. I come in to be a makeup artist. That's all I do. I come in to be a manager. I let it go. I let loose. I manage everything. I come in to train a staff. That's all I do. I don't get into nothing else. So it's like we need to stay in our lane as West Indians. You know what I mean? That's one of the West Indian dispositions I can't deal with. It's the whole, you want to be a part of every single thing that's going on. You're not interested. My sister laughed at me all the time because she'd be like, "So did you find out this?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, I'm like, "No." She's like, "Oh, I forgot who I'm talking about." Because I'm never that interested. I just want to know what I need to know and then keep it moving. The rest of it is irrelevant to me. So I don't need to take out any extra craziness in my life. My life is crazy as it is already. You know what I mean? And it ain't that crazy because I don't make it crazy. My life is. I keep my life simple. Um, my philosophy is I deserve the best, so that's my life. My life is I deserve the best, so it's always going to be that. And every day is going to be a great day. I choose my life to be that way. And I live my goddamn story. And I'm sticking to it. All right, so congratulations. Yeah, Stacey's awesome, man. This is why you're going what you do, what you're doing now, cuz you're amazing and I love it. I am super proud of you. Thank you so much. Hey, Suzanne. What's Suzanne saying now? I am trying to follow the trend. There's no trend, Marlon says. Oh, it looks good. Thanks, Marlon. Where we at? So because they don't know how to stay in their lane. Girl, so fucking annoying, you don't even know. We need to perfect our craft. I say it 100,000 times, Stace. I say it all the time. As we say in Sutra, stay in your section. It's like a carnival band. All right, guys, I want to say good night. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It was so much fun. On Friday night, we're going to talk to three individuals from the gay community in the diaspora. There's a Guyanese lawyer who lives here in New York, and he's a professor. Um, and he's also a partner in a law firm, which is amazing. He made a partner. We're also going to speak to Trinidadian uh, trans woman living in Amsterdam. And I met her in Trinidad, and we've stayed friends over the years. So we're going to meet her. We're also going to meet a lady from Belize, and we're going to talk about the gay community and what it was like growing up gay, knowing who you are, what it is like, family support or lack thereof, people around you, and the communities that supported you, or the people that do or do not, and how that makes gays feel. Being a gay man myself, I'll put in my 2 cents, but y'all know how I feel about this shit. So, I'm not the typical gay, really. But it's always nice to get other people's perspective, and I'm surrounded by people who have their own stories and their own legacies to pass on. And they're amazing people who just want to live, you know? So on Friday night, we'll have that discussion. Hopefully, we don't have too many technical difficulties. I will take Chelsea first because she's in Amsterdam and for the time difference. And then I'll go to either one of the other guests, which will be kind of cool. So. All right, guys, I will see you guys on Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me know if you guys like the video. Like, I did the video today for the first time, with the video of the promo, which I thought was kind of cool. But I'm trying to get like a West Indian song, So we'll see. We'll see what happens on Friday. Where is it? We're at. Okay, so Stacey says, I am so looking forward to Friday's show. Oh, Lord, girl. As am I, as am I. I am an advocate for gays, having always been, will always be. I love it. Thank you so much. So, guys, have a great night. Thanks so much again. You guys really make this fun for me. And I do this because I love my country and I love being a West Indian. And I think that we have so much to offer the world. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that happens because our stories need to be told. And we need to share our food, our culture, our people, and our thoughts because our thoughts are important as well. So have a great evening. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me. Have a great night.